You learn something new every day. I didn't know that.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a guest speaker for you. This is Cosmo. He's with the Transfer and Career Center here over in Tulare.
So hey guys, good evening. Used to saying good afternoon and good morning. So good evening. My name is Cosmo. I'm the Career Services Coordinator here at the Tulare campus. So I oversee career technical ed. So the entire ag division, graphic design, welding, and architecture. With that being said, I'm here to serve all students regardless of major. So I'm going to pass around the roster real quick. If you're here, just you can initial right by. It's just for my own record, so I know what I'm talking in front of. Your name is on that roster, plus the support course. I did email you guys all of my information. It has a PDF flyer like this one, exactly like this one. So it's services offered to you. So career services, what does that mean? So it's, in a nutshell, I serve as kind of the main point of contact between employers and industry and our students. So it's going to be by way of resume building, creating a cover letter, maybe some mock interview skills, but most importantly, connecting you guys with work experience and internship opportunities as it relates to your program or your degree focus. So my contact information is on there. I'm in B109, which is just down the hall, actually 2 doors down from Mr. Jones here. So if my office door is open, stop in, schedule an appointment. You guys can shoot me an email, you can call or text that 3122 number and I would receive it. Generally schedule students in 1 hour blocks of time to review any of the things that I mentioned. Any questions? Okay, and I also included in the email I sent you guys with this flyer as a PowerPoint. It's more ag specific. So we do host events, district-wide for career services, but like I said, my focus is primarily ag. But one thing I do want to plug is the Giant Threads professional clothing closet. It's a mobile trailers, but it's actually housed at our Visalia campus. So as a student, you guys are all eligible for 1 free professional clothing or attire each semester. And again, there's no requirements for it. It's literally filling out a request form, and then you would be connected with either someone in our office, but the fashion department. They actually provide the dating support for that trailer. So for guys, it's a pair of slacks, a belt, a shirt, some shoes, and a tie. I mean, that'll save you probably, I don't know where you're shopping, but 80, 90, maybe $100. And then for the ladies, professional slacks, and a nice shirt to go along with that, and maybe a top jacket.
And they'll fit it for you.
Oh yes, and they'll fit it.
Like tailored for you.
So the clothes are there or no?
They are there,
Oh.
but on the request form, from my understanding, is you put in your sizes and they'll do the best to match it.
Okay.
And actually, if they don't have it, then they go out and purchase it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you would go and try on the outfit that can fit it for you right then and there.
We get a lot of charitable donations from stores and stuff.
Yeah, I know they some of the donors are like Macy's, Banana Republic, JCPenney, so I mean they're pretty good stuff.
They get a nice tax write-off. We gotta help our students. It's a good deal.
Yeah, because we at one time, I mean, this is pre-COVID, we did used to ask faculty and staff for clothing donations. We did it for about a semester, and it never caught on. But this seems to be more popular among students. Any questions? Okay, well, like I said, guys, I'm in B109. Come see me, knock on my door, or just holler at me, shoot me an email or text. Be glad to help you guys.
If you guys have never had like a job where you had to go interview for it, it's really handy to go see what one's like before you walk into like your first one. The more it's like anything you practice, the more interviews you do, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to sell themselves. You're like really nervous in your first interview. After you've been through enough of them, you're like, yeah, you want me. I'm going to be your best employee. You're really confident, but it takes a while to get there, and practice is definitely helpful.
Did you work at Pizza Pizza?
I did. Yeah.
That's where I work at.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I did.
Oh, you're gonna have to give me the dirt on Cosmo then.
Yeah, I don't know. I was there. You were there before I got there. Yeah.
Yes.
So I actually work for Randstad, where is staffing agency,
Oh, okay.
and I am doing hiring for Tulare.
Oh, nice.
So maybe I can actually connect with you because
Absolutely.
I can let you know what we need.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have some staffing agencies that we,
Yeah.
they come and participate on our events. Express Staffing, I think, might be one of them.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah,
let's
but
connect.
I'm more like in the M&L, like manufacturing
Oh.
logistics, so it's a little different.
Okay, yeah, connect with us, and I mean, that area is my programmatic area, it's my colleague Lisette, she's in the industry and technology, but yeah, reach out to me.
I will,
Sounds good.
thank you.
Anything else? Questions? Okay, well, thanks, I appreciate your time, thanks, Mr. Jones.
Thank you.
All right,
I'm glad you're here and helping our students. All right, you guys ready to get started? Math 21. Where were we? We had wrote down 1.3. Let's look at we're not gonna do 1.4. Let's look at 1.5. We're gonna do 1.5 and 1.6 today. What day is it in terms of like, this is our second lecture, right? Day 2 of lectures. I found that if I write the name of it when I'm doing it on the very first page, it really makes it easier to identify when I download the like 8 scans I do for the day this evening. So Math 21, day 2, we're looking at 1.5, which is on biases. And 1.6 is on statistical experiments. And I'm guessing we're gonna be out of here before 6:30. You will be able to, if you want, continue and work on homework till 7, and I'll stick around. If everyone leaves, I'm leaving too.
Have homework?
it's on the math list.
May not be due today, but you have homework. Do you think this was a,
Is that started? We can start that?
yeah, you can start it.
Okay.
You can work ahead. I've got videos up on YouTube for the entire semester.
Do not do it, something about, or was that?
Don't go past the midterm. I wouldn't work ahead past the midterm. Don't be crazy. That was support course advice.
Yeah, okay, that's.
Support course, you're gonna end up doing, I'll talk to you more about that later. All right. Where was I? 1.5, biases. Anyone know what a bias is?
Something one-sided, like a bias, no, unbiased, like a referee that favors one team or.
One-sided was where you were starting good.
Yeah.
Or you got a favorite for a team.
Like where you already have an opinion.
Yeah. So a bias is a favoring or having an inclination towards one choice, option, group, outcome, whatever the case may be, over the rest, over the others. Now, the people in the survey or whatever you're dealing with can have biases, but what we're trying to do is avoid biases in our very approach to statistics. There's a lot of things we can do that are gonna make our results not reliable. So if we're doing like statistical work and doing surveys and stuff, we want reliable results. So one example is convenience sampling. This is where you choose the members of your sample group. Based on convenience. It's easier. I gave you a perfect example of this on Tuesday. It was what Hefe did. When I said if I want to find the average GPA of COS students, and I said I'll just survey my classes. Hefe surveying his own students for COS students' results. An example of this. It's convenient for me because I don't even gotta leave my goddamn chair. I could do it from home. I can just email everybody on my school roster and just say, hey, will you fill this out real quick? I'll give you extra credit. And every single one of you will fucking fill it out for extra credit. Extra credit is like the magic pill. In fact, a teacher a long time ago at this school in the math department said, like I think what was it? The homework. The homework wasn't worth anything. It was like you didn't get graded on homework, but it was all extra credit. But you needed 1,000 points in the extra credit category to get like an A, and if you had 900 points, you'd get a B. He just fucking relabeled the word homework to extra credit, and he had fucking a higher participation rating in doing the homework because they didn't fucking realize they were getting duped. It was flat out. I need to try it myself. Next semester. Get the dupe on. I had a good participation for it. So, you know, that's an example of convenience bias. Don't do it. Ways you might do it is like, if you're like, I want to check out, I want to ask about people's grocery purchases. And I just go stand in front of Save Mart from like 9 to 10 on Saturday morning. I can get a lot of questions, a lot of people survey, maybe 9 to 11. So I have like a good 2-hour block. I'll get a lot of surveys in from 9 to 11. Saturday morning in front of the supermarket. How could it go wrong? Well, first off, you only went to one supermarket. Now let's face it, Save Mart customers are different than like Foodsco or Winco customers. Save Mart's more expensive. You'll have people that like, I don't want to deal with the crowds. I want to go where it's quicker and faster, because shopping at Save Mart's usually faster. There's less of a line because it's more expensive. They're willing to pay more for it to get out quick. You're getting different customers or different people. Also, going Saturday morning from 9 to 11, you're only targeting people that shop in the morning on Saturday. A lot of people don't want to get up on Saturday morning to shop. Friday night's party night, right? The week is finally over. Some of you are too young for this. The week is finally over. It's time to crack a cold one or several and see if we can avoid a hangover the next day, right? If you got a hangover the next day, you are not fucking going grocery shopping at 9 a.m. You will put that off till the afternoon. So you're getting, like you're having a very restricted group that is not representative of all grocery shoppers. So that causes bad results or can cause bad results. You don't want that. Does that make sense? All right. Under coverage is another example. And this one is when a group's percentage of the sample is lower than in the overall population. This happens a lot in politics. One example would be the smaller parties. Political parties, like I'm a libertarian, we are less than 5% of the population. But like if you went out and surveyed people, and you surveyed 100 people, I'd be surprised if you got a single libertarian. There's just so few of us. So like you wouldn't have hardly, the libertarians would be undercovered in your survey. Another example would be surveying in only like one town, like in San Francisco. San Francisco tends to have a lot higher percentage of Democrats versus Republicans as opposed to the rest of the state. The Valley tends to have more Republicans than elsewhere. So if you did a survey in San Francisco or a survey in Visalia, the results are going to show two different things. One, the San Francisco one is going to say that a lot of people favor the Democrat choices. And if you did the same thing here, it would say they favor the Republican choices. But neither, and it would be in percentages that are completely different than the overall population. Like Republicans are probably, I don't know, it's like 45% in California or something like that. If you do a survey in San Francisco, maybe 10% will have Republican answers. If you do it in the Valley, in Visalia, it'll probably be well over half. So, like, that's under coverage almost by convenience. You're only sampling in one town, but you will have a group that doesn't have the same representation as they should of the overall population. Some cases it's hard to avoid. Like it's hard, you can't force your survey to include enough libertarians. You can't say I've got 1,000 people, I'm going to save 50 slots for libertarians, and if I don't get 50 libertarians, when I get down to 9, I've got 950, there's 550 left, and if I've got none, I'm just going to reject people until I get a libertarian. That's not really ethical surveying. So some groups might be underrepresented. That one's a little harder to deal with than like polling in only one town. Don't poll in one town. Poll all over the state. And generally, if you're doing something that's on the California level, you would. Unless you're trying to present dishonest results, like as part of the news or something like that, then you would want one side to be heavily favored. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you could make the news say what you want based on where you survey. So you don't want something like that. Any questions on undercoverage? Anyone need that up longer? All right. Next one is non-response bias. Participants don't respond. Yesterday was the first time I took a phone call survey in probably 6 years. 6 years ago, I got a survey on the phone and I said, sure, I'll take your survey. I'm kind of curious. It's about fracking. I'm like, I don't know a whole lot about fracking. I know what it is, but I hadn't done any research into any of it. I just knew what it was. And when the survey went on and on and on, I realized relatively quickly that this survey was heavily biased. There was no single question that had a single response that was favorable for fracking. The best case scenario for people that were for fracking was to say neutral. Yeah. Fracking is related to digging for oil, but they go sideways when they get to, I don't know. Look up, it's spelled fracking. I'll show you how to spell it. If you want to know more, it's related to getting oil out of the ground. Not always going deeper, but going sideways and stuff. And so they all of their questions were like, is it sort of bad? Is it like bad? Is it very bad? Is it horrible? Is it destroying my property? And then like there might have been like, it's not one way or the other. Like there was no, like, this is a good thing. And so like shortly, like it was a short enough survey that I almost finished it, and then I thought, no, fuck you guys. I know what you're doing. This is gonna be used to present information to the public that says most people think fracking is bad, but that was the only fucking option you gave us. So I didn't want to participate. I knew they were gonna have it released anyways. They'd get enough people that responded. I didn't know enough about fracking. I still don't. I may very well be along with them. I might oppose it if I did the research. But I didn't like the way the survey was done. I stopped doing surveys. I had to stop taking surveys on the phone. I used to take them like every other one. I'd be charitable with my time. That's really what it boils down to. When you get someone calling you, do you have a couple minutes for a survey? I'll be like, how long is a couple minutes? And if they'll tell me like 5 or 6, I'm unsure. I regret doing it yesterday. Yesterday, she said it'll only be like 7 or 8 minutes. And I said, sure. And it was about politics. The survey was unbiased. It was very unbiased. But it was so poorly written. Do not make a survey like this. I want to say the second question was, it was about the entire survey was about who I chose for representative of my district in the last election, which was almost a year ago. I'm not a registered Democrat or Republican. I don't fucking remember who I picked, to be honest. I really don't. I think they picked Valadeo, but I'm not certain. The question was, what reasons in order, rank these following things in order from 1 to 8. What's the most important reason that you'll back a candidate, and what's the least? And she literally spit out 8 things: education, housing, jobs. There was LGBTQ. There was abortion and rights and stuff like that. There was a few others I couldn't remember, and I almost. She's like, so which one is your number one? She just read the list. Which one's your number one? And I almost said the last one. And I realized I was about to do what I'm gonna tell you in the next section, what to try to avoid. A lot of people tend to pick, if they don't remember the whole list, they fuck it. They pick the last one they heard. It's the one you heard, it's the one you remember. And I said, well, hold on a second, let me write it down. Give me the list again. And I wrote them down, and then I took my time going through the list. That took a while. For a survey question on the phone, I shouldn't need to grab a pen and pencil. They should have gone through it and said, how important is this topic for you on a scale of 1 to 10? Is education important? Is housing cost important? And do each one and give me a 1 to 10 on that, and then like not rank them in order. The next problem they had was they asked me, where do I get a lot of my information about political candidates? And they gave a list of options, which included TV, radio, friends, community leaders, business leaders, activists, priests or parish leaders. And I'm like, okay, TV, radio, and friends. Those are the ones they primarily I hear from. I'll go look up information on the internet when I want to know more. And I usually will look up to find out more. Then that was just like on how, the question was on what means I get information. Like the very next question was, how do you pick a candidate? Or which one is the most important source of information for picking a candidate for you? And they didn't have TV, radio, or internet, or friends on the fucking list. Like they had just like community leader, activist, priest, business leader, and someone currently in office. I'm like, all the answers I said, I don't even get to pick. And like, so it was a very poorly worded survey. It wasn't biased though. They never were trying to lead me towards one side or the other, which was nice. But now I'm going to go on a survey strike again. I'm going to be a non-participant for a while. How can you avoid non-participation? How can I try to alleviate this? So one way of doing fighting non-participation is doing callbacks. We've all had, has anyone in here ever, well, some of the young ones might not have, not picked up the phone and someone on the phone wanted to do a survey? Has anyone in here never had that happen to them? Holy shit. We got several people. Nothing wrong with it. It will happen to you. The older you get, the more your track record will go up. That's why I said the young people probably don't have it yet. A lot of times they will literally get you when you're busy. And I'll be like, every once in a while I'll be like, call back later. Sometimes if I don't like what's it about and I'm not interested in the topic, I'll just say I'm not interested and drop it at that. If it's something I'm interested in, I'll tell them when I'm going to be available. And they'll call me back. Sometimes I'll do it. So callbacks, there's one way they do it. They ask me, can I call you at a later time? Another option is when they do this. It's not just on phone, it's also when they do mail surveys. So it happens with phone and mail surveys a lot. Mail survey, they send you a survey. It's a self-addressed stamped envelope. All you got to do is fill it out, shut it, and throw it in the mail. You don't have to pay a stamp or anything. Usually they're fairly short, 1 page, maybe 2 pages. It would literally take you a minute to do. And yet almost everyone just immediately throws that motherfucker away. Yeah.
I received a survey in the mail with $1 in there.
That is excellent. I was about to talk about that.
I usually don't open mail. I'll just throw it away. But if I feel like it's like, you know what I mean? Like not a bill, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that. But I'm glad I opened it that day. I'm like, shit, this is real money.
Did you do the survey?
No.
Johnny, you said you had it. Did you do the survey?
Hell no.
So it doesn't always work. There's only one survey I haven't done where they've attached the money. It was a survey I meant to bring in and show you. Like the last one I got, it had $1 stapled to it. And would you believe I've never brought it into a fucking stats class to show it? I've had it for like 2 years and I still haven't showed it in any stats classes. I'll bring it in to show it because a lot of people have never seen it. They will attach $1, sometimes $2, but usually just $1 as encouragement to do it. Not everyone does it, clearly. I've done it every time except the last one because I start to feel a little bit bad about putting that money in my wallet because I didn't earn it. And like my mom raised me like, earn the shit you have. Like when I was a young kid, I stole from the supermarket. I got in trouble for stealing Transformers. It wasn't even Transformers, the cheap Transformers, they were GoBots. But I got in trouble and she's like, you can work and buy the stuff and like you can do like rake leaves in for the neighbors and stuff like that. She'd like raised me. So like I feel bad about taking money that doesn't belong to me. And so I've done the survey every time because usually it really doesn't take you less than or more than a minute. It's literally that quick. Skim it, click the answers. I don't like if it's a long one, if it's a 10-page one, I'm taking $1 and I'm not doing it. You know, my time is worth more than that. But a short one, $1 for a minute of work, that's like $60 an hour. That's good money. You know, unless you're like a lawyer or like a doctor, that's good money. So another way of doing it is offering incentives. That's the dollar thing. I was just about to address it. Thank you for bringing it up yourself. Offering incentives, like the $1 in the mail. They can't send it, do it to every home. Unless they only want like people in a specific area. Like if it's only a Visalia Tulare survey and they don't give a shit about Coaling and the other places. If they have enough money, they could send the thing to every house. Could you imagine trying to send a $1 mailer to every person in the country? Even just California. That's so many homes. That's so much money. $1 goes by real quick. That's the non-response virus. And callbacks are offering like incentives or rewards to participate. They wouldn't do it if it didn't work. They try it once and it'd go around really quickly throughout all the businesses. Don't do this, it doesn't work. And yet they still do it. So they get enough of a response They don't need thousands and thousands of responses. They just need a few hundred to fucking go, I'll do it. That's all they need for a good survey. So it costs them, but they get what they want. Next category is called response biases. This could be misrepresented answers. Like the fracking I was talking about earlier. They didn't give good answers. They could just flat out lie. That's definitely misrepresenting information. I think they might have done that too, to be honest. They said some, like, I remember them saying some like really heinous shit. Fracking killing babies or some shit like that. Like, I don't know if it was that bad, but it's like, it was bad. They were definitely going for like a response out of me and anyone they gave that, you know, other information to. It can also include interviewer errors, which there's a lot of ways to do interviewer errors. Like the call I took yesterday. Maybe not interview, but the very survey itself had the error. They were not well-designed surveys, so like they didn't allow for response, like the response on what makes me choose who I vote for. I wasn't given the option to choose. I had to say none of those. And like, I don't even know that was, I think other was the option. They had an other in there. They usually fill it in with an other. Interviewer errors, and then this shit can happen if you've got a vested interest. This probably happened with the fracking people, although maybe not. The way I'm sure she was an activist. I don't know if that's a vested interest. This is like a car salesperson helping out with a survey on how do you plan on buying your next car. They may intend, with all honesty, to be fair, but if you sell used cars and you're asking, when you buy your next car, are you going to buy new or used? You're probably going to put a pleasant emphasis on used and maybe have like a dead voice on new. You can't help it. It's in your best interest to have people buy used if you're a used car salesman. That's an example of vested interest. Some of these things are as simple as the wording of the question matters. It flat out matters. The two examples I gave you with the fracking giving bad answers and the call I took yesterday having missing some answers I needed are examples of how wording of questions matter. But also, what if I go, what's your favorite cola? I'm specifically saying cola, although we don't use that word much in society anymore. We usually say soda, but like there's a lot of sodas that are not Pepsi and Coke. So if I say, what's your favorite soda, Pepsi and Coke? Pepsi or Coke, not and Coke. I don't think there's any heathen on the planet that mixes the two. People are very particular about these. If you are a cola drinker and you like name brand cola, you are either in one camp or the other, and they generally sneer at the other. Like Coke drinkers go, what the fuck is wrong with Pepsi drinkers? And Pepsi drinkers are like, you're an idiot, Coke drinkers. They really are. There's a lot of them. A lot of them are very snobby about it. It trips me up. The problem is with this question, what if I don't like Pepsi or Coke? What do I answer? I wasn't given that option. Dr. Pepper is a good choice. So like, oftentimes when they're not given a choice, that is one of their choices, people will often pick the last one because it's the last one they heard. And so you get more people, in this case, saying Coke than maybe Coke deserves. I don't know if it's a lot more, if it's a little more. You can combat this by just like half of them flipping the order, asking Coke or Pepsi. You can completely bypass that bias by doing that. A better option, these are examples of closed questions. Now, you could try to list every cola that you can think of. There's Pepsi, there's Coca-Cola, there's Shasta, there's Great Value, there's, anybody think of any other generic ones? RC. What?
PK, right?
I haven't heard of that one. There's a lot. There's more, like as many as you know, there's probably 4 times as many that you don't know the generic name. It may not be sold locally. So like you could list every name. If you were asking a survey about sodas in general, you might have on there Coke, Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, 7-Up, Sprite, Mountain Dew. Any other sodas that people like a lot? Fanta. Root beer. How did I miss root beer? Ginger.
Canada Dry.
Canada Dry is good.
Oh, sure.
See the face I'm making? This is me not respecting your choice right here. This is me being a bad instructor. Is ginger ale really a soda? I guess it is. It's carbonated, it's flavored. I guess it's a soda. Ginger ale, Canada Dry, yeah.
Yeah, my question, what's the difference, calorie wise between ginger ale and, or Canada Dry and 7-Up?
I don't know, but they taste different.
That one's made of ginger.
Yeah, one's made with ginger.
That's the only difference. I mean, I guess that was
That's a huge difference. Ginger has a distinct flavor. But like, even if we just did those, that's like 8 or 9 things. If you're giving a survey, like especially over the phone, you're getting more people that say that last fucking answer than anything else. Because a lot of people don't drink soda. Anyone in here that doesn't drink soda? Couple of us. I very rarely do. I'll go months without drinking a soda, and then it'll be like,
Yeah, I'll have a sip like once every, I don't know.
right, not usually. I used to, when I was growing up, is soda this, soda that, I'd stop at the like gas station, get the 44 ouncer every day on the way home from school. That's how you get this pleasant figure here. Consume a lot of shit you don't need. But like, even in that survey, like you would know, like if I didn't give you an other or none answer, you wouldn't be able to pick. Because you don't drink soda, right? So you could pick, but then
Kind of like previous, right?
you can pick, but if you haven't drank soda in a while and you really don't like soda anymore, you're really not representing your true feelings if you pick one that's on the list rather than just saying none. And what it does is it creates a bias in the results. Like there will be more people saying a specific option than really actually prefer it. Now, if you did had those 8 or 9 major drinks and you rotated which one was like, just change the order on every single one so that each of them were equally listed last, you could avoid the problem of having that closed question, people just picking the last one. But when there's a lot of options, and if you just like soda in general, you're picking the last one. Or if you don't have a choice and you don't like them, but you're still going to pick one, you're going to pick the last one more often than not. Because it's the one you remember. So rotate shit up. Closed questions can be good. If you've got it narrowed down enough and you only want to talk about colas and you want to like include generic, you might list a couple generics, but maybe not all of them. You can get a pretty good percentage. You may only care about Coke versus Pepsi. You might work for Coke or Pepsi and really not give a shit about the competition of the generics. You may. You maybe want that, maybe what you're collecting, and a closed question is good for you. Closed means they don't have room to put what they truly feel. An open question almost has a fill in the blank. Usually does, fill in the blank. What soda do you prefer? And now the person that doesn't drink soda can say, I don't drink soda. Which means everyone can give their true answer. They can be true to themselves. They usually don't care about the survey results. But like they could give a true answer. The problem with this as a survey giver, just go to the fucking supermarket and look at all the different names of sodas. And then go to one more supermarket and look at all the other names of sodas that were not in the first store. There's a lot of sodas. If you ask what's your favorite soda and leave it as a free-for-all, you might get Pepsi, you might, like, even if we just stick to Pepsi. Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Diet Cherry Pepsi, Diet Wild Cherry Pepsi, Cherry Pepsi, Pepsi with vanilla, Pepsi with, Diet Pepsi with vanilla,
It's strawberry.
Pepsi 1, Pepsi 0. There's like fucking 3 or 4 diet drinks, all that are Pepsi, without having an additional flavor added. That's just Pepsi. Now do it with Coke. You got all your millions of brands of root beer. Well, there's not all root beers. All your lemon lime drinks, all the different drinks you could have. You're gonna have probably however many people that you took the survey of. There's a good chance you'll have, like if you surveyed 200 people, you're gonna have 100 different responses. There will be a lot of people that bulk up on that. They'll just give the Pepsi and not like specify, or cola, a Coke and not specify. But you're gonna get a lot of individual shit, which means when you're trying to like get something usable out of it, at that point you got to start making groups on your own and going, how am I going to group this up? Am I going to group by brand name? Am I going to group by category, like cola versus lemon lime versus root beer? Am I going to group by diet or non-diet? Because you can't have 100 different fucking entries. Can you imagine a pie chart with 100 different slices? You couldn't even hardly read it. It would be illegible. So you have like, you give them more options, but in some cases, you kind of fuck yourself. I'd rather just say Pepsi, Coke, or generic. And I'd probably proceed it with, do you like cola? And then this question, if you said yes, answer this question. You know, tell me which cola you like. So that's the idea of doing open questions versus closed questions. They both have pros, they both have cons. Another thing that's in this response bias category is data entry errors. Yes, thank you. Let's say we're talking about age. And you get an 18-year-old and you enter it as an 81-year-old. Now, unless you can go back and like look at who the person was, you gotta kind of go with what the data says. Someone did a typo and you don't know it. If this were like an online survey, I'd try to go and verify the result, because I know a lot of 81-year-old people are not very good with computers. My mom would have been 81 this year, and oh my God, she just virus after virus. Every visit I had with her was 4 or 5 hours of computer maintenance, fucking like resetting her entire computer, because she would just break it, clicking on every link that she got. Mom, stop. Stop. She never stopped. Man, fucking listen to me. But would never ask anybody else to fix it either. So like this happens. This was an extreme example. What if I had like 45 versus 54? Same thing. This is called transposition of numbers. That actually has a word. Transposition or transposing. Where you change the order of the numbers. 18 to 81, if we only got like 30 people in there, and we're finding the mean age, you've just changed the mean age by quite a bit. If there's 1,000 people in there, you have. But like this can have a huge impact. If you're doing data entry of money and you leave a decimal, like leave a zero off the decimal, or leave a zero off, like write 10,000 as 1,000, or worse, add a zero and make it 100,000, you've changed the value of something quite a bit. If you're looking at income ranges for households in the valley, I don't know what the average income is in the valley. I'm gonna guess, let's say 70,000. If I add a zero to it, so with someone's entry, let's say they were even high, let's say they made like 90,000. If I add a zero to it, now it's up to 900,000. If I drop a zero from it, now I'm saying their house only earned $9,000 all year. It really like can screw up data. Data entry, the only thing you can really do about it is once you put in enter something, double check it before you move on. Or if it doesn't matter, you can go through the entire list, don't look at it that day, come back to the next day and check your list versus what you entered and make sure everything matches. I don't recommend doing it right away. This happens on tests a lot. People will, when they're checking over their work, your mistake will look correct. Okay. Like you just did it, you wrote it a certain way. It's going to look correct when you're checking your work. So like checking for data entry errors right after you did it usually isn't a good idea. There's a fix for it. I'll talk about when we get closer to the midterm. That's kind of it for biases. For the main categories. You guys want a 5-minute break or you guys want to just chug through and see what we get done? We're going to be done early. This is how quickly early you guys want to get done. So does anyone want a break? If you got to go pee, raise your hand. All right, let's take a 5-minute break. Someone's got to go. Take a short break. Let's resume recording. Let's switch back over. I have a quick in the recording, having Mint Mobile show up real quick in the recording as it's on the wrong screen. 1.6 steps in an experiment. Statistical experiment. So A, identify the problem or question. To be answered. When you do this, you need to make a hypothesis, or what that really means is a guess as to how the outcome will be.
So I'm assuming you can't call to Mexico?
I have no idea, never tried.
You can.
You're on mobile?
I have it all.
There you go, he says you can.
You can.
Okay.
She's like, oh, fuck yeah, 15 sounds better than 98. Let me look at this. Let me see how many gigabytes of data I actually use a month. And go. That's a good chunk of money saving, right?
Yeah, I have 15 gigabytes. And I barely use it.
You get 15 gigabytes a month?
Yeah, and it's $20 a month, but I paid it off in a year full, so I paid $240 this.
This is fucking rude. I'm paying $50 a month for fucking 5.
It's 20, you better call.
Yeah, I paid $240 the last week, and I have it for the full year. 15 gigabytes every month.
Okay, so I need to,
What?
like,
Yeah, I pay.
then again, I have only gone over it once. Do I really need the more gigabytes? Or is this just a size matter fucking thing? Do I though? $5 a month more is $60 a year. I could take my wife out to a good dinner for on that. We could actually go to the movies and have popcorn one night. Maybe not on $60.
Yeah.
That shit's got fucking price. Maybe matinee at $60, right? So we're gonna identify the problem, the question to be answered. We're gonna make a hypothesis. This usually, this guides or helps us pick our population. This sounds like a fun survey project for students. How much do you pay for or how much do you pay for your cell phone service each month? And you can make a hypothesis. When you're doing it, we're all gonna have to do a project as a group. Near the end of the latter half after the midterms. Like you might be like, I wonder. Does the average person spend more than $70 a month on their phone? Or $90 or whatever you think the amount is. I just picked 70 or what, 90, just because random picked. You'll get those people like me that say 15, but then you'll get people like Melinda. She's like, nope, triple digits, baby. How much can I spend on my boyfriend's money? Fuck yeah. All right, so B, step B. You know how many points you could earn? Like relationship points you could earn if you saved him $100 a month, $150 a month, and then the money he saves on his own shit. If you just found a cheaper phone service,
I spend a lot of money too.
right? But if you found a cheaper phone service, it just said, "Hey, honey, take a look at this," and you save the two of you $250 a month. Oh, you're gonna get you some maybe some jewelry or some shit out of that, whatever you like. Maybe you get flowers. My wife doesn't like flowers, but some people like flowers. What are you thinking, Jackie? Give me a funny look.
I don't see the point in time.
I don't either. They're
I'm not
like
gonna go eat.
every once in a while I'll stop and grab some from the side of the road, someone selling,
Yeah, every now and then it's
just to surprise the shit out of my wife. That's all. It's the surprise of paying for it, not the dying flowers. That's what they do. They die. B, identify factors that affect the outcome. You need to know what kind of things are gonna maybe sway the outcome. So like cell phone service, you went with that. Income, like how much someone makes, might affect it. Is there really another reason? What else could affect cell phone service selection?
credit maybe,
Credit,
coverage, like. With T-Mobile, there's places where you can't get any service.
okay. So the coverage might affect it, stuff like that. There's things like that you're gonna want to include. And we're gonna talk about why in a second. C, you're gonna want to determine the sample size. We will talk about later on the semester ways of picking that work well. Oftentimes is as many as you can afford to do, kind of thing. As many as you can is frequently the result. But this is limited by resources like time and money. Yeah.
And one of the, like, if they're gonna say the version of them, I would affect the outcome of how much they're spending on them.
Say that again?
How old is the phone? Can affect like how much they're spending on them.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about cell phones to say whether.
So if you upgrade, sometimes you have to pay an extra fee to pay that phone because you don't have,
Insurance.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, if you get a new phone, yes, that'll affect. If you're upgrading, the way you worded the question was having an older phone. I don't know that having an older phone is gonna hurt you. Like I have an older phone and it doesn't hurt me. But then again, I'm using Mint Mobile and not fucking Verizon. This is limited by time and money. And resources in general. E. We need to have a control in place. A control in place is fix one variable to a specific thing. To be unchanging. Like in your groups kind of thing. When we were talking about on Tuesday, the whole survey, like mini fridge with the teenager, one way you could do this is you could go pick like 500 teenagers of a wide range, separate them into two groups, give one group mini fridges and the other no mini fridge. You want to start with kids that don't have a mini fridge. That way you can see if owning a mini fridge affects weight. You would need a before and an after, and you probably couldn't tell them why you were doing the survey. Because like if you said, we're trying to see if owning this mini fridge is gonna make you put on the pounds, who in their right mind is gonna say, sure, give me the mini fridge? Well, maybe, it's a free mini fridge. You know, be like, fuck it, I can control myself. But I bet you didn't have any idea you were gonna have this much cussing when you came to class, did you? Poor unfortunate soul. In pain. All right, so we're gonna fix one variable to make it unchanging. Everything else kind of balances out. When we're talking about the survey with the teenagers and we brought up genetics and diet and exercise, if we pick people that didn't have a mini fridge in the first place and give half of them a mini fridge, well, each group's gonna have people that exercise a lot and then the people that like sit on their ass like me. You're gonna have, each group's gonna have people that eat nothing but junk food, and each group's probably gonna have vegans in it. You're gonna have a wide range, so they're like each group's gonna have the same ups and downs that affect the outcome. So that kind of like washes itself out. Each group has that same problem, so it's not a problem anymore. Which sounds like trippy, but it's true. If you don't if you just randomly select people blindly and put them into groups, the groups are big enough, they tend to wash out all those other factors, those other deciding factors. But it requires fixing that one thing in place for this to work. Because then the only thing that isn't random between your groups is, in this case, the mini fridge. Everything else is random, everything else balances out. Jesus, that's a B, that's an A, I'm like writing fucking Hulu up here. All right, so at that point, anyone still writing? You're like, TikTok, Mr. Jones, you said 6:30. You better finish this shit. E, experiment. Go out and collect the data. We are gonna numerically summarize this data. And the reason why we're gonna summarize the data to answer our question. And depending on the type of question. We make our choice of technique. I don't think I phrased that very well. If your survey is about what percentage of people pay above $70 on the phone bill, that's completely. It has completely different technique than going. Is the mean higher than 70% or $70? So like what percentage pay over $70 and what's the average mean? Is the average mean over $70? Those are different questions. They're gonna have different techniques. So like depending on what we're asking, what we're doing, we're gonna have different techniques that we'll find those out along the way. F is we're gonna test the claim or hypothesis that we made in part A. This is called inferential statistics. We will try to infer something about the population based on the results from our sample. Almost done. I got a third of a notebook page this size. We're almost done. Then if you want to work on homework here, you can. If you don't want to, you'll be free to leave at that time. Well, you're always free to leave. You're not a prisoner here. Sorry, Johnny, I see you're still writing.
Okay, I got it. What was it?
Statistics.
Does
Anyone need this out longer? All right, you were not the only one writing.
Okay.
Are we good? All right, let's stop thumbs up. All right, so a couple more topics, brief. One way that's popular is the match pairs design. In the match pairs design, we pick two connected things. People, doesn't need to be a thing, it could be people. And one gets the cause or the thing in question, like the mini fridge, and the other doesn't. I said design, not doesn't. There's no G in doesn't. It really is. It's only $5 a month more. Oh, look at this deal. For a limited time, all of their shit's $15 a month. 40 gigabytes.
I'm convinced.
That's worth checking out. I'm not a Mint Mobile rep, no.
If you refer a friend, you can get $50.
You know what? I'll put out the referral. I think there is a reward for a referral code. I'll put a referral code up in an announcement, okay?
If you refer, you get $100 off.
No shit. Hook Cafe up. Cafe gets $100 off his phone bill. He's gonna be fucking happy when it comes to grading midterms. I know that. That's just not a lot. What? It was not 120, it said 40.
722 gigabytes.
Say it again?
722 gigabytes
month?
that I use.
A month?
Jeez.
How is that fucking possible? What are you streaming?
Like the
I'm on like,
highest.
I did like 305 on Instagram gigabytes.
I think that's. Right?
That's not healthy, bro.
It's been 22.
You are not gonna be a successful student if you maintain that this semester. Put the goddamn phone down right now. That is not good.
But I have unlimited data. But I also have to pay 400 something for like 3 phones.
How much time do you spend on your phone? You use 3 fucking phones?
One's mine, one's my sister's, and one's my brother's.
Okay. Well, that's nice of you to pay for their phones. Question is, how much time do you spend on your phone? Now, see, we're all gonna be late now.
I didn't want you to make fun of me, but I carry 2 phones. My ADHD, I work better with a lot of things.
Oh, I need to sit down with you and then, now I'm fucking curious. Like, what do you do? Are you texting on both phones at the same time?
Yes,
How is that possible?
my parents has good great features for science. It works a little bit faster than this one, this is T-Mobile, it's Verizon.
But you're not using them at the same time. Like you literally got one phone in one hand, one in the other, and you're doing the same thing simultaneously.
On this, like use it on this one. and-
That's not the same. Music on one is, you're letting it sit there. If you're not doing anything with it, it's just playing.
Yeah, or.
That's not doing anything
Or
with it.
playing video in the background.
Generally, it's like 5 hours.
5 hours a day?
Yeah.
That's a lot of cell phone time.
67% on Instagram and 13% on phone.
Do you know what kind of grades you could get if you limited that to an hour a day? He'd be fucking just. Richard, hit me up. I need a shot of that shit. I need my phone back.
Actually, I could go virtual without my.
Can you?
Yeah.
For how long? Right? I can go without my phone. I sure as hell can. I don't take it with me to the bathroom. Okay, you sure? Can you go with it without it for a week? I challenge you to do it without it for a week when we're getting close to the midterm, right before the week before the midterm.
No problem. All right.
That way you're practicing for shit you need to do to pass.
That's for credit.
I have no way of monitoring whether he does it, so it's not worth extra credit. It will show whether or not he studied for his midterm. That's fucking inconceivable. Inconceivable. Okay. So we're gonna pick 2 questions. See this one, and we're going after 6:30 now. All because of fucking Mint Mobile. Someone who asked me at break time. It doesn't matter. Let's get done. So it doesn't have to be things like the mini fridge. It doesn't have to be like the pharmaceutical company. It can be something as simple as like before and after. With the same person. What were you like before you did something, and then after you started doing something else, or taking something else, or tried something else, how do you do now? My doctor's doing it with me right now with my blood pressure. He gave me a prescription for something 3 weeks ago. I'm supposed to be taking my blood pressure every day. I haven't been, I guess I got a week left because I have an appointment next Thursday. And I'm supposed to bring it in, I'm sure you're gonna check my blood pressure there too, but the idea is to see if it's working. If it's working as intended, he won't touch it. If it's doing it, but not enough, he'll raise the dosage, and if it's not working at all, he'll fucking take me off of it. So he's doing his short little like before and after experiment on me right now. So before and after works, but other things work. We could do something like siblings or twins. Siblings are your brothers and sisters. So you can do like close family members like that. Spouses is a good choice. You could probably get away with relationships if it's a long-term relationship. And I mean what everyone else would consider a long-term relationship. If your longest long-term relationship is 3 weeks, that's not a long-term relationship. It just means that that's your longest. Okay. But generally, like, you want something where they have something in common. And if you've only been going out with them for a couple weeks, you really don't have a whole lot there yet. They could be paired by location. We're gonna check hotels that are in Visalia and Fresno and see, like, is there a price difference? Same hotel names, is there a price difference? Or we could do Visalia and like Bakersfield or Sacramento. And we can see, is it more expensive to rent a hotel in one of those towns? And you just do a range of hotels and you pair them up by location. So there's a lot of ways of doing that. One of them is doing like the double blind. We talked about the double blind last Tuesday, this Tuesday. And I even mentioned single blind. Do you guys remember what those were?
Your example was the pharmaceutical, I think.
Where like neither party knows.
Single blind is where the patient or recipient doesn't know. But the doesn't know, but the giver does.
The other one's neither know.
And the double blind is neither know. And the way we'd have to do this is like if Melinda's giving doses to everybody, and like I know she's gonna be giving the placebo. No, it doesn't matter who all my dose givers are. I'm gonna set out a tray in a room, and all your doses that you're gonna give out are on that tray. And then I'm gonna leave the room before you walk in and get your doses to hand out. That way you can't see from my face. I can't give anything away to you because I'm not in the room. That way you can walk in and pick up all the doses and think you're giving out the good shit. That's the idea. I mentioned placebo and I didn't really define placebo. I don't know that I wrote down what a placebo is. So maybe we should write down what a placebo is because this is done a lot. Placebo is something that looks, tastes like the real deal. Like we said it out loud, but I don't know that I wrote it down. But is lacking the active ingredients. And with that, I'm done with today's lecture. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you want to work on homework in here, feel free to work on homework. If you don't, you can GTFO and have a good weekend.